Most people in the state of Minnesota, I think, trust their public officials and trust their government for the most part. In fact, a recent Pew Research poll said Minnesota was 10th in the nation when it came to their trustingness of their government and where they lived, at about 61%. However, some recent cases that have come to light over the last couple years in Becker County, I think has shook people a little bit when it comes to confidence in their local government, or maybe it just reinforced some of the prejudices and fears that they may have had about local government to start with. And I'm really talking about the individuals in it. And frankly, I've always said I don't know why people put too much trust in government, because government is run by people. And it's only as effective as the people behind the scenes will allow it to be. And locally here in Becker County, unfortunately, we've had some incidents of people undermining their public's trust with their actions. Most recently, the incident with Becker County Sheriff Tim Gordon, who last week struck a plea deal with the county attorney's office and with the Stearns County attorney's office, which in fact is prosecuting this, as to make sure there's no conflict of interest. But we'll save you the details of what's all in the plea deal. You can read them on your own if you like. But the core of this is, it's hard to trust that kind of an office like the sheriff's office when you've had a position like that, the top person involved, basically plead guilty to misusing that public office and misleading other elected officials within the county government when it came to the purchase of that boat. We also had the incident in Lake Park, where recently their mayor, Aaron Whitnable, made an Alford plea. Now, I'll just say this up front. An Alford plea to me is the ultimate cop-out plea, because this is what an Alford plea is. It means I am not accepting guilt for this action whatsoever, nor am I pleading guilty to this action whatsoever, but I concede that if this goes to trial, you will prove I am guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But I'm not admitting that. So they make what they call an Alford plea. It's a cop-out plea, quite frankly. But why would the mayor of Lake Park make this plea? I think it's so he can hold on to his position as mayor, so he doesn't plead guilty to a felony charge. But this comes from not something he did as a public official, as the mayor of Lake Park, but he was entrusted to the care of a sibling, his sister, who has Down syndrome, and somehow mismanaged those funds one way or another. You can argue semantics one way or another, but that's basically what happened, and that's what the Alford plea is too. And then you had in the Frazee-Vergas area, the Frazee Rescue Squad. Their former treasurer, Brian Bigger, pleaded guilty to a count of theft by swindle, a felony count there, for supposedly, he was supposed to be purchasing equipment for the Frazee Rescue Squad, where purchased that equipment, was reimbursed from the rescue squad, but never did pay back the manufacturers or the companies that the equipment was purchased from. Instead, that money somehow vanished. There is a theme I think you can get with all three of these. All three of these people, in some point, in some moment, were in the public eye and were supposed to be responsible to the public. The rescue squad, obviously, your first responders in emergency situations in that area. The mayor of Lake Park is responsible for 750 people. Even though what he did didn't have anything to do with the mayoral office per se, it does bring into question, if you're having trouble managing the accounts and finances of one person, a relative, a loved one, why should you be running the finances and the accounts of 750 plus people that live in one community? Again, it raises questions. And then you have the sheriff's office situation with Tim Gordon, where you've got somebody in power, top cop in town, doing something not above par behind scenes, and who, frankly, who's there to stop him? Who's there to change anything? Well, you could say the BCA stepped in and some other entities did, but you can't help but think, how long did things go on before this happened? There's a theme here. All of these people, I think, did what they did knowing it was wrong because they thought they could get away with it, because they thought being in a position of power allowed them to do something special. Or they were greedy, one or the other, maybe even desperate. But that's the problem, why you can never trust government fully, because there are people behind it, and their personal preferences and the demons in their life can come forward in that public entity, and when that happens, they're in a position to take, and some of them do. And that's what happened 3 times recently here locally.